we're actually looking for problems after the sale now. Now we're calling customers and we're like, man, just checking on you. Hope you have something wrong with it so I can fix it, right? Well, it cost me $600 for a new customer at Dallas Lease Returns. $600. I spend less than $200 per customer on average after the sale to keep them happy. My retention rates and referral rates are north of 40% every month. So even if I didn't care about people, I do, but even if I didn't care about people, if I only cared about money, I'm picking up $400 per customer just by having them return.
Today, in a special episode of the Car Dealership Guy podcast, I'm excited to speak with Kris Gaerlan, president of Dallas Lease Returns, and welcome back Sanjiv Yajnik, the president of financial services at Capital One. We dive into strategies that dealers are using to create truly unique and captivating experiences for car shoppers, plus discuss exciting new technology that will revolutionize the car dealer digital footprint. A big thank you to our sponsors for making today's episode possible: CDK Global, Upstart, and Capital One. And now let's get into the show. Kris Gaerlan on the CDG podcast. Kris, welcome.
Wow. Yeah. Excited to be here, man. Excited to be here.
It's going to be great. I'm not in my normal element of my studio, doing a visit here at Capital One headquarters. Capital One is putting on an event for really commemorating here 10 years of their garage. This is pretty much for any dealer that's listening. If you've used Auto Navigator, Dealer Navigator, this is the birthplace of all that. So I got invited out here, made it out here, excited to record this podcast. Kris, you have a crazy story, which I'm pumped to dig into as well. Can you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, how many years you've been a dealer?
Yeah. So, man, I've been in the car business since I was 18. So I'm 48. So 30 years, believe it or not. The internet created a pretty unique opportunity for some young guys to get in the car business. Or early adopter of eBay, if anyone remembers when eBay Motors was just killing it. And so, was part of a group of people, cutting and pasting photos and putting them into eBay before there's even listing services. Then went on to start Dallas Lease Returns with D&M Leasing. And I would say in the beginning, we would have called ourselves an internet-based auto dealership. I think today, if you're not on the internet, you're not a dealership. So now I'd like to believe that we're an auto dealership, an independent auto dealership that has some unique ways that we approach culture and approach really the more so the employee experience than the customer experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're being humble. You were, when we were talking about early in the internet,
yeah,
you were selling cars on eBay Motors when I was in elementary school.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there was a group of people actually in Arlington, Texas that started taking photos of cars. This is before listing services happened. We had some smarter people than us that knew how to cut and paste JavaScript, and they would literally cut and paste script, put it on eBay, list the cars on eBay, and sell them all over the country. When I think about that experience, and I was just having a conversation with someone recently, I was taking people to my apartment where they would, of course, I still wear punk kid glasses, as you can see, but back then they might have been blue. So this 20-year-old kid would pick you up at the airport. You would come to my apartment to pick up a car. You'd give me a certified check for a car that I don't own the title to, and then you'd leave on your merry way to drive back to California. And I think to myself, what kind of idiot would give a 22-year-old punk a certified check for a car with no title and drive it back to California? But we were pretty lucky to get to the point where we were doing that about 150 times a month back in early 2000s. Of course, at 150 a month, we were no longer in my apartment. But yeah, we had a pretty fun time. It was a different time in the car business for sure.
Yeah, so we'll talk a lot about more about what you're doing today from the tech perspective. I think it's very unique. But I hear a little noise. Who is it? We got a guest. We got a special guest. Let's go. Now, in all seriousness, we have another special guest joining us. We got Sanjiv Yajnik from Capital One, baby. So, right, we're here at Capital One. Sanjiv, president of financial services. He's been on the pod before. So, if you listen to Sanjiv's pod, you're familiar with him. If you haven't, you should go listen to it so you can become more familiar with him. But Sanjiv, great to have you on as well.
Yossi, great to see you. Kris, good seeing you.
Hey, Sanjiv, good to see you.
Yeah, you guys go way back, huh?
Yeah.
I love it. All right, so this is going to be fun because what I love about bringing, an industry partner and a dealer on a pod, and we've done several of these in the past, is having the opportunity to kind of talk big picture and then, get that boots on the ground example experience, and bridge it all together. So I just want to dive right in, right? Sanjiv, first things first, I want to understand from your perspective, you've had a lot of incredible accomplishments here at Capital One. You mentioned on our last episode together, you founded the Spark card, which I personally used for many, many years in business. Of course, Auto Navigator, Dealer Navigator, we're all familiar with these terms in the industry. Just start off by giving us a high level overview of why have you found yourself investing so much in enabling and enhancing this physical experience in our industry, right? There's been so much investment to sort of go all online. I've obviously literally experienced this firsthand. I've done this. Yet you've continued really focus on helping elevate the dealership experience with tools, technology. You work with dealers. Kris, you're a great example where you really work closely with Capital One to do this stuff. So Sanjiv, why make this investment? Like why go this route when many people are going, in a different direction?
Yes, many companies, they start where they are and they just want to make money. And then they take the next step and the next step and the next step. Ever since the founding of Capital One, I've been in the company 26 years. And, when I started, we were a really small, scrappy entrepreneurial company. We did something different. We always started with strategy, like where is the industry going? What is the strategic intent? And then started working our way backwards into what we wanted to do. And, what I've observed is in many industries, so I love the auto industry. I think it is amazing. But what I've observed in the past is players will come into an industry and by just bumbling around and making the wrong actions, they can destroy industries. I can think of many industries where the players come in and then they just do some actions that take an industry apart. Now take the auto industry. The auto industry, the anchor tenant of the auto industry is the dealership. And even when Silicon Valley came in and said, we want to cut out the dealerships, etc., I looked at the whole situation strategically, and my team and I basically said, dealerships are here to stay. They are the anchor tenant. What do we do? If we want a very, a very healthy industry, we need healthy dealerships. And as the digital revolution came on, we realized that we were in a unique position as Capital One to create tools that, dealerships would find it very difficult to invest in only because you had to spend hundreds of millions of dollars in building some of these things, especially as AI, et cetera, came in. And so to answer your question, that's the way we came to building the tools we build. And that's our orientation to the entire industry. The dealer is our customer. What do we do to make their business better? And we try to stay very true to that purpose. So it's not about Capital One. It's about the dealership.
Kris, I want to ask you a question on a similar note. So I consider you very progressive, right? Meaning you were so early to the digital age and selling online stuff. Some dealers didn't even have websites at that time. What are you doing today? Give us like a high level overview of just your digital strategy at the dealership.
So normal website, CRM, third parties. Of course, we use Capital One's tools on the website as a digital strategy. Some new ones I'm sure we're going to get to. Muse is another digital strategy that we're using, and of course, currently we're adding some AI-backed products into the dealership. I'd say that's from a digital standpoint. We probably concentrate more on the culture and people part of the dealership. So, 20 years ago, and I'm going to go back 20 years instead of 30 because that's how long we've had Dallas Lease Returns going. Well, 20 years ago, it was unique to have just provide photos. provide Carfax reports. You think about transparency, we talk about transparency now. Well, back then, transparency was something that was unique to the buyer. We were providing something unique, just giving numbers over the telephone. They used to coach salespeople to not give numbers over the telephone. So we could make a business or make a pretty good living just by giving you photos, Carfaxes, bidding your car over the telephone, and giving you numbers over the phone, like working your deal over the phone before you came to the dealership. That was unique. Well, fast forward now, transparency is no longer this unique thing. It's the marketplace expects transparency. Mm-hmm. They can get information anywhere. They can Google information. I think for me, I believe that what we can provide that's unique is experiences again. My son, who's turning 17, I've said this story before. I remember a moment in time when he and his friends, we were in the car, and he and his friends were in the back seat, and they were talking about Guinness World Book of Records. They're in their back seat, and the kids are talking about how their buddy has the Guinness World Book of Records. And I'm thinking that their friend literally just got a Guinness World, like he just broke a record. No, my kids were absolutely amazed that there was this book you could open and touch with photos. They've got iPads. Yeah, iPads. So this experience was so unique to them. I think what's unique now is experiences again. You talk about millennials or young people now, they don't know the world without iPhones and without the internet like I do. Mm-hmm. So internet, information, all that to me, I feel like was a unique thing back then. But I think what's unique now to who's supposed to be the largest buying population out there, the millennials, what's unique to them is experiences. It's experiences.
And how are you creating those in store?
Yeah. So, I'd say one of the ways is with the shopping experience. If you've ever walked onto a dealership, you've got to, even just to look at cars, especially in Texas, when it's 108 degrees outside, the cars are 120. You can cook an egg inside the car. It's a pretty bad experience just to walk around outside. So what we did is we decided to put everything inside, 80,000 square foot showroom. And then we took it a step further and we said, well, what if customers just want to look at cars? Like, what if customers just want to look at a car and they don't want to have to give me, a 5-liner to do so? So we leave all the cars unlocked. It seems like a very simple thing, but it's turned into a pretty cool solution when on Saturdays, we've just got customers just hanging out. Sometimes people just want to look at cars. We talk about the malls, the death of the malls. Well, I was at North Park Mall recently, and man, from what I saw, the malls weren't dying. I couldn't even walk in that mall. I think that people want experiences again. I'm hoping that people want experiences again.
I'm laughing because I'm laughing because every dealer listening, when he says he has an indoor showroom and he leaves keys inside, every dealer listening is
keys aren't inside, but they're unlocked. Keys are still locked up.
Every dealer is probably thinking, "Oh no, I'm going to hire someone that's going to leave the car turned on."
Yeah.
So
it's kind of interesting listening to Kris, and I totally agree with him. Once upon a time, just having an internet, a site, that was it. Today, digital has taken off. So it's become so complex and so sophisticated. It's its own thing, but that's not where you win. People expect that to be, it's just a basic expectation. And so the new expectation is experiences, and the best dealers have unbelievable experiences built on top of the digital process. And the way that, Kris is talking about, I think it is intuition and experiences that makes a dealer win, but built on the back of this wonderful digital experience. And so, Yossi, one of the things I just wanted to kind of point out is we do this car buying outlook every year. And so 4 things came out of the car buying outlook, right? Trust, transparency, digital, and physical. Trust, because this is a mind-boggling thing. Like, customers will buy a car from a dealer they trust. And here's the thing that really took me by surprise. About, 48%. So almost half of the customers who are buying cars are willing to pay a higher price from a dealer that they trust. Now, what drives the trust? It is transparency. And Kris kind of pointed this out. Transparency drives trust. massively drives trust. And oh, by the way, if they can do a soft pull and they could do a pre-qual, you get a boost of about 50% for customers who think your process is transparent. And that is just unbelievable.
This episode is brought to you by CDK Global. CDK Global has been empowering nearly 15,000 dealers with the tools and technology they need to build deeper relationships with customers. Their team is keenly aware of the state of dealership technology, and while many vendors promise seamless experiences between your CRM, DMS, digital retail, and fixed ops, most of these bolt-on solutions tend to break workflows and cause more harm than good. That is why CDK has launched a new dealership experience platform. This new integrated software consists of everything you need to operate a dealership efficiently while delivering an unparalleled experience to your customers. Basically, everything working together, not separate, one system to run your dealership as opposed to 10. CDK developed it with an outside-in approach, listening to dealers every step of the way. You can learn more about CDK's dealership experience platform by visiting cdkglobal.com/DXP or clicking the link in the show notes below. Sanjiv, backpedal back to transparency. Like, how are you putting this in what you're doing day to day in your products and how you're working with dealers, right? It's clearly in everyone's best financial interest to be transparent because it does yield more profit. Let's not be saints for a second, right? Yeah. You're a dealer. You know that there's a level of transparency. We're not talking about putting real prices on websites. That's like table stakes. We're talking about the next level, which we'll talk about in a second. Sanjiv, how are you like working to empower that with dealers? Like, what do you think are just the best ways from your perspective and all the data and insight that you have that dealers can bring transparency to the market?
Yeah. It's really important to understand what transparency means to customers. Customers know that dealers need to make a profit to be in business. What they do not like is if one customer gets one price, another customer comes and then negotiates a different price, and they feel they've been left behind, or there's something going on behind the scenes that is working not in their best interest. And so with that deep insight, what we try to do is to build the tools that the dealer needs so that when the customer is going through the car buying process, they have an experience that they are demanding, by the way. They're demanding that they see the different pieces. They can make good judgment calls at every step of the process, and they can enjoy the process they really are longing for. Like, they really want to test drive the car. They want to get into a great car. They want to fall in love with the car, and they want to drive out without spending a whole bunch of time at the dealership. And so the products that we are building are very focused on providing that transparency all the way through the process.
Kris, talk to us about your sales process, or just what it's like to buy a car from you. Give us like the specifics.
When I think about what we're trying to solve that feeling. Like, it's the feeling. We've all gotten it. Like, you leave the dealership and you're high on life, or maybe you're upset because they put you in the box and you waited 2 hours and you didn't want to buy a warranty. It's just you did because they weren't going to let you leave. Or you wake up the next morning and it's just that feeling. It's that, man, did I get a good deal? Were they fair with me? Are those numbers right? Did they high gross me? Like, all of that feeling is at the end of the day is what I'm trying to solve, because I do believe that car buying, my customers come with this pragmatic idea of what they want to accomplish, but it's a feeling thing. You really don't need a new car.
It's an emotional decision.
It's an emotional decision, which is fantastic. I mean, I work hard and I drive an F-250 that's never seen dirt. Like, and it's okay. It's okay. It's a feeling. It's a feeling piece. So I'm trying to solve not having that feeling. And so how we do it at Dallas Lease Returns from a process standpoint is we do a one-touch program. So we're not bouncing customers from this desk to this desk to this desk. We believe that you can work with one person, and then that person takes you from cradle to grave, is what we say in the car business. So from A to Z. We do that with technology. We talk about digital. We use a product that allows our agents to do it. A lot of it does happen over the phone now, but allows us to take a customer through the process from beginning to end and kind of does it digitally with them. And it pulls up the numbers with them in live. in real time. Again, customers come back, in most situations, and they're in a box, and then you've got Foursquare, and then they're presenting them with a warranty option and high prices, et cetera, et cetera. Well, back to the transparency piece, our customers are watching us choose the warranty live, and they can see the price right there. They don't have to worry about an agent getting all the information to use against them and then raise the price of the products. They get to see all those pieces. And then another piece from a transparency standpoint, and look, anyone that's watching this knows that Capital One didn't choose someone that's not a Capital One friendly, right? I'm not here because I'm not pro Capital One. I drink the Kool-Aid. They're a great partner, and I appreciate them greatly. But the other transparency piece is we offer the Capital One branded product on there. I've said this in one of their videos before. On my best day, I'm an auto dealer. Like, wrong, right, or indifferent. On my best day, I'm an auto dealer. So what I say, people are going to take with a grain of salt, unfortunately. And so if I can offer that Capital One widget where they're giving Capital One the information and then Capital One's giving them their interest rate, they come into the dealership and it's just like you've taken away one of their biggest concerns right up front. They can trust that Capital One's giving them all the interest rate and everything. They're not worried about me marking up a rate, giving them the best deal, finding them the best lender. They've already come. And so when they've come kind of armed with more tools, they're just more at ease. They're just more at ease.
One of the problems that customers have today that they do not have in Kris's dealership is they do a huge amount of research, right? They go online, they research cars, they look at dealers, they look at prices, and nowadays they get approximate prices all over the place. Many customers do that research. They then walk into the store and all that research is out the window because the dealer has got none of that information and they start from scratch. And dealers feel that when that happens, some dealers feel that they can then get the customer around to their way of thinking. I think they've got that wrong. Kris does not do that. Kris lets the customer see everything up front, and nothing changes when they walk into the dealership. So Auto Navigator and Dealer Navigator both talk to each other, so that when a customer walks in the store, all that work that they have done is seamlessly with the dealer. They can use it. It is fully transparent. They can change their minds in the dealership and they can see it changing on their own device. And so to Kris's point, here they've got both the dealership and Capital One sitting with them and helping them through the process. I think that makes a very transparent process.
It does. I mean, look, double entry plagues our industry.
Yeah.
We've all experienced it. I mean, I've spoken about it. It's one of the worst things from the customer experience. So if you can obviously avoid double entry, your conversion will just be higher. You're going to sell more cars. You're going to make more money.
Yep.
Talk to me. I want to talk more about trust, specifically in the dealership, and how weaving trust into the digital experience and the in-person experience. Sanjiv, before this conversation, I was just riffing with Kris, and he was telling me about how he empowers his salespeople to build trust with the customer and how that leads to more retention and more money and a better customer experience. Yeah. Can you walk us through that? Because I think what you're doing is fascinating, and I love how you're thinking business first, but just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I don't know if you want the long version. Maybe I'll give you the middle. So I stole the idea. There's a restaurateur, and Sanjiv, you might remember the restaurants when you lived out here, but Kenny's Wood Fire Grill. And Kenny is a fantastic operator, and he and I belong to the same gym. And we were talking one morning, and I'm telling him this story about how I was at his restaurant and I ordered cappuccino after my meal, and his server came back with Starbucks. And I was absolutely amazed. I couldn't believe, Sanjiv, that this girl came back with Starbucks. And what I couldn't believe was she didn't even try to make me uncomfortable. Well, like a normal server would say, "Oh, I'd be glad to go to Starbucks. Just make sure you're going to tip me more." None of that. She just went and she only cared about me. And
So the point is the restaurant did not have a cappuccino. She
Yeah.
said, I'm going to solve what you want. I'm going to
solve what you want. And every time I go,
that.
I mean, the service is amazing there. I mean, it's just amazing. And I asked Kenny, I'm like, Kenny, how do you do it? How do you do it? And he said, Kris, I know the answer. I empower my people. He said, years ago, I allowed my people to comp food anytime. And I was a server. And I remember how this plays out. You know, the kitchen screws up the food. Then the manager doesn't want to comp the food. And it's this uncomfortable thing. And then my tip gets hurt. Well, their people can literally, they can comp food. And at the end of the month, they take the tickets and they take all the comps and they have a meeting and the server goes, hey, John in the kitchen, this was 19 minutes. It's supposed to be 14 minutes. So I comped free dessert, and here's why. And they look at the person in their face. You made the mistake. We're going to try to improve. And as he tells it, it fixed the real problem. The real problem was just communication, right? It was just communication. They were working against each other. And I thought, well, man, wonder if we could do that in the dealership world, right? So I got the data first so I can get an idea of what we're paying out to keep our customers happy. And just to stand on my soapbox a little bit here, we've won Dealer of the Year 7 years in a row for Texas and now 2 years in a row nationally. So customer service, at least according to our customers, seems to be doing pretty well.
Okay, so what's the secret to that? That's what I want
So
to hear.
this is the secret.
Go ahead.
So you empower your people is the secret. And so I said, well, why don't we see what happens if we allow our people to comp food, pay whatever it takes to keep our customers happy after the sale. No questions asked, literally, whatever it takes, as long as it fits our core values, which, by the way, one of our core values is to be profitable. So we said, go ahead. So what happens? We look at the data after 90 days. Our payouts go lower, believe it or not. Our payouts go lower. Before, they had to go to their manager, get manager approval to do something after the sale. It plays out something like, well, the car's sold as is. You know, they've been in the car 90 days. They need brakes. The car's sold as is. It's got 80,000 miles. Why would we do that, right? Did they buy a service contract, whatever? Well, we open that up. Well, the irony of what happened is that, so now, let's say a customer 90 days afterwards, battery's dead. We're actually looking for problems after the sale now. Now we're calling customers and we're like, man, just checking on you. Hope you have something wrong with it so I can fix it, right? Well, it cost me $600 for a new customer at Dallas Lease Returns. $600. I spend less than $200 per customer on average after the sale to keep them happy. My retention rates and referral rates are north of 40% every month. So even if I didn't care about people, I do, but even if I didn't care about people, if I only cared about money, I'm picking up $400 per customer just by having them return. In the dealership world, though, agents aren't allowed to do that. I'll hire new people and they'll talk about how excited they are that they can start selling cars to friends, family, and neighbors now, because they remember stories of selling a car to a neighbor, having a problem afterwards, and wanting to help the customer. They're not allowed to.
Okay,
so
just to recap this, right? $600 to acquire a new customer.
Yeah.
$200 to retain. You're assuming that you're getting a referral or they're buying another vehicle at some point in the future. And so pretty much salespeople are completely empowered to go do that at their discretion. Now, it does come, you mentioned, it does come at the expense of gross, right?
Yeah, so they're paid on gross. They're paid a percentage of gross. So the dealership still pays the majority of the cost, but they do have skin in the game.
Correct.
You know, so they have skin in the game as well.
And then just tactical questions, because I love tactical questions. What do you do in a situation where, like you said, 90 days, you've already paid out the commission, right? Now the salesperson comes, hey, I'm going to put, 4 new tires on this car, pretty expensive, but the commission's already been paid.
Goes against gross.
Gross has been booked. So you look back, pretty much retro it.
Goes against gross.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, goes against gross. So it'd go in that month's gross. So whatever you do in that month happens. So let's say they did $30,000 gross that month in sales.
Makes
and they
sense.
spent $1,500. Now they're paid on $28,500.
This episode is brought to you by Upstart. Upstart partners with dealers to digitize and connect their online, in-store, and financing process to create the car buying experience today's customers expect. Backed by trusted OEMs, Upstart helps dealers sell more cars efficiently, speeding up processes to boost profits and enhance customer satisfaction. With integrated finance capabilities powered by AI technology, Upstart's connected platform enables consumers to shop from anywhere, then seamlessly transition in store and complete the deal digitally, creating a hassle-free purchase path that benefits both dealers and buyers. For a brighter car buying future, visit upstart.com/dealers. That's upstart.com/dealers, or click the link in the show notes below.
Sanjiv, what's your take on like stuff like that, right? Incredibly simple. Like we're going to talk about what you're doing that is, I consider something so simple but so effective. But this is something so simple, right? You're not using any crazy technology or anything. You're literally taking people and you're saying, hey, like you can do this, and it compounds over time. What do you think about in terms of tools that just will have the biggest impact on, the traditional car buying experience, like stuff like this?
Yeah, I think that the secret sauce is digital and not digital. So people who just think, I'm going to give all the digital tools and they'll just buy the car sight unseen and everything is going to go smoothly. Very few customers go for that. It is a combination of having digital tools that allows full transparency, so you're feeling secure. And on top of that, when you've got things like Kris is doing in his store, that combination is very hard to beat. And so what we are trying to do is to create that foundational element, the foundational element being the digital element. And oh, by the way, to create that foundational digital element that goes all the way from the beginning to the end, from when the people are researching the car all the way through helping salespeople in the store bring customers in, bring the leads in, but with full transparency, and then helping the customer go through the basic process with speed and transparency. That's where the Navigator platform comes in. But a Navigator platform on its own is not the secret sauce. It is the foundation. I think, Kris, you said that before. It's what they expect. But today, to give people what they expect is not easy. Let's be really clear about that. Digital has gone into a completely different dimension. You've got to start with the data layer. Then you've got to go to the application layer. Then you've got the UI layer. Then you've got all the algorithms, which are going much more in the realm of, artificial intelligence and Gen AI and things like that. So my focus is to create that foundation, is to create that platform that dealers can use to win. And then they can ride that platform and then put on their secret sauce. And that is it's a combination that is going to be very hard to beat.
Sanjiv, you spoke about Navigator. I know you're really excited about your newer product, Muse. Kris, I believe you're using Muse in your stores.
Yes. Yeah. Early adopter.
Did you guys work on this together, on this product?
I wouldn't say I was too instrumental on developing it, but when they brought it to me, it was.
Can you share just some context for anyone that doesn't know what this is? I think it's interesting because, again, it's a way of kind of bridging the physical and the digital world in a very practical way. I'm a big fan of this now. Just as a general trend, right? Like keeping things like going to fundamentals, like what is a problem and how do we solve it in the easiest way possible? I used to say when I was running my prior company, and I was asked questions like, why invest all this into a website and like an app and blah, blah, blah. I used to sort of like say, stop 1 second. Like, I don't care about a website, an app. Like, I will sell cars on a newspaper right now if I need to. I care like what is the most efficient, effective way to get a deal across the board. And some ideas worked out, some didn't. The point is, but like I would literally say, if I need to etch it in stone and that sells the car faster, like everyone will be adopting that the next day. And so can you just share some quick background on Muse? Like, what is it for you? Like, how are you using it? Then Sanjiv can.
Yeah, I don't know if I can say much background because I didn't develop it, but I can tell you, as far as for me. So, and I'm not that guy where Capital One comes and they've got a new idea and automatically I'm like, oh yeah, it's going to work. In fact, I was when they were giving one of their end-to-end, like to finish the wholesale online, I was a proponent against it pretty quickly. But to Muse, man, it solves such a such a simple problem for me and my staff that immediately I thought it would do well, and it's done fantastic at Dallas Lease Returns. The problem it solves is that it allows my people to talk about the dealership or to promote the dealership and protect their lead.
So they want their salespeople to go out and bring customers in. But it was very hard to figure out which customers are walking in because a salesperson had done some work versus they've done some work, they walk in, some other salesperson gets their customer. And so there wasn't any incentive for salespeople to come in. And they didn't know which one was the most active. Then when we talked to the salespeople, their issue was, if I go and do all this work and someone else gets my customer, that's not fair. And so that was the genesis of trying to create a product that put the power back in the dealership's hands so that they could figure out which salesperson had brought in which customer, and also gave them a tool so that customers were drawn into the store using digital products and so on. So trap it all in a card. Actually, Yossi, I'm really proud to have worked on this with the team. This is one of my patents. And so, I am personally very close to it.
You're right now holding like a literal card, right?
Yeah,
it's like
a metal card.
It's a metal credit card, right? And so how are you actually operationalizing this in your dealership? Like, are you encouraging salespeople, like, take this card?
Oh, everybody. Yeah, everyone
So
has
what do
one
they
of
do?
the cars. So simply, if you're asking how you use it, you literally just tap it on your phone and then a link shows up and then you have all the person's information. You save it to your contact. So now you've got your car guy on your cell phone. And I've left my kids at home more than I've left my cell phone at home. So it's everywhere, right? And then also you've got a QR code. So some of my people are going on social media. So specifically, I've got a social media guy named Javon Banks, which is
just someone that happens to work at your store.
That works at my store. And if you've watched his videos, his parodies are pretty entertaining. He's got quite a following. So
we work very closely with Javon.
Yeah. And as an experiment, he decided to put the QR code on one of his little pushes, and he ends up with north of 1,400 people putting their information on, his information on their phones. And so the power of this, right? And if you know Javon, he's just like, man, this is cool. I did it, right? But here's the power of what he's really done. So he's literally got 1,400 people that have his information on his cell phone. I mean, think about that. If you have a car question, or if you want to look for a car or look at a car, you're going to pull up his information, and now you're going to go to our website. Now here's why Javon wants to push this rather than my website. Before, if he was to push Dallas Lease Returns, you go to the website, the lead goes to anyone. Well, now they're on a site that Capital One's built that allows for the people to see all of my inventory. And if they submit a lead, now that lead has Javon on it. So Javon's lead is protected. Now he has a reason to push the dealership. Whereas before, I could not get people to push the dealership at all. On top of that, now you've got him in a Capital One site. And so if someone wants to know the real numbers, they're actually submitting for a real approval without it, affecting their credit score, which I'm sure Sanjiv can explain way better than I can. But, they're submitting that application. From a dealership standpoint, I can tell you that when we implemented the Capital One approval process, and I took my own off, I went up by 1,000% on the amount of applications I got. Like literally 10 times the amount of applications on any given month is what I was getting. So it's converted, so from that greedy used car dealer mentality, I mean, I'm getting way more leads. And then when I tracked, we haven't had the product that long, but when we tracked the conversion rate on the leads, we were tracking 11%, which again,
on what?
On the leads that
11% close.
11% closing on those leads. So for me, it just worked.
I'll tell you a funny story. Sanjiv, I was I'm obviously eating my own dog food here, right? Because I was a diamond dealer for many, many, many years, and we were first place in our region for many years, maybe like 4+ years.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, I got to a point where at a certain point we had raised venture capital to kind of scale nationally, but we were still growing from a single point dealership. And so our numbers got so big so quickly. And it was like awkward because we would go to the annual, event with a diamond dealer event. And then, second place to us would be like so far away. Obviously we were funneling so much into marketing. Yeah. We were just scaling so quickly. We didn't have any of these tools yet. I mean, we did have Navigator. That was already live. It wasn't what it is today. But I think back to how funny that is because we were scaling so rapidly. So again, I've personally experienced a lot of this, these tools and stuff firsthand and it changed my business. So Sanjiv,
one of the interesting things that Kris just pointed out is when the contact information gets stored, it also stores the link into the dealer's website. So it's not just the contact information. So as soon as they get into that contact information for that salesperson, it goes into the dealer website. They can check out the inventory for themselves. They can get pre-qualified without any impact to their credit score. They get the entire power of what we've built in the background, that we talked about, the Navigator platform, but it gets the entire power of that. It's all trapped in that little card that Kris is holding. And oh, by the way, it doesn't hurt that the card is, if I say so myself, pretty neat looking. And
it looks luxurious. I like it.
No, it's cool. It's cool. And this goes along what Sanjiv was talking about with, he calls it digital.
Yes,
digital.
digital.
I mean, so he gives us the card, right? And it's not like,
why the K? I didn't follow that.
I don't know. Ask him.
Sanjiv,
The digital is a digital plus physical experience.
Oh, okay.
Capital One, Sparks.
Here's the thing.
I call it brick and click.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the problem. People, when they're designing something, sometimes, you've got software engineers and all they want to do is design the digital part. And then there's another group of people who are trying to design what is your physical kind of the actual experience. I think the winning combo is when you're designing something, not to design it purely from one end or the other, but design it as if both are happening simultaneously. Because that's what we do in normal life, right? I mean, most people, if they go in the store, they're checking out a product that is right in front of them and they're checking it out on Amazon or something else. We live in both worlds simultaneously.
Omnichannel, baby.
And so it's digital.
Give us a bit of a sneak peek here before we wrap up. I want to know a little bit about what's next, right? This is a fairly new product. You're dead focused on dealers. That is your sole focus. You have massive budgets and innovation teams here that you can do lots of things and you have lots of resources. So what do you think is next in terms of just innovations for the industry, for the car buying process, Sanjiv?
Yeah, so first of all, you are in the Capital One premises and you're going to be seeing our garage and a lot of the innovation that we've got going on there and the teams that we have, the kinds of engineers we have and so on. What I find fascinating is every time there's a buzzword, everyone wants to push it into their product. So every product you see on the market right now has some AI kind of word attached to it. But generative AI, to actually pull off Gen AI, you need a pretty sizable budget and some very sophisticated engineers to pull it off in a sustained way. I think what's next and what is coming to all industries, but definitely needs to come into our auto industry, are Gen AI products that actually work for the dealer and the customer. And then the other thing that is going to be incredibly important is the way the dealership works is going to continue to morph and change. And so the products that need to get built need to be so modular that when a dealer needs something, it can be done very quickly. You can't have a 6-month, 8-month, 12-month lag in product development. And so what we are trying to do is trying to bring all of these forces to bear so that the tools that we provide the dealer are going to become more and more powerful. You're going to see some of this at NADA. So I'm not going to reveal all the products that we are building. There's some really nice, interesting surprises. Yep, we've got them up our sleeve, and we're going to hide them from you when you're going around looking at it in the garage. But But that's what's coming next. It is tools. We don't want a dealer to feel like they've got to take on a massive platform. We've got specific tools. We've got Muse. That's a great one. We've got something called Maestro, which really takes leads and makes it so much more powerful for dealerships. And what my passion is to create foundational products that then the dealer can use their magic sauce on and then be able to express themselves fully and to win in the marketplace.
Yeah, this place is pretty badass. This is an entire facility that, again, for the audience that's not here, but it's literally just dedicated to building out, tools for automotive. I'm referring specifically to the garage. So it's funny because I've used lots of these tools and it's the first time I'm seeing this, but you just see people walking around and it's all focused on automotive. It's pretty crazy. But again, this is why you're seeing lots of great innovations. Kris, closing thoughts from your end. What would you like to see? Give us the wish list, right?
Yeah.
Again, you're so experiential in the way you operate your business. What do you think would be helpful next? And what would you like to see just in our industry and in your dealership evolve?
I mean, from a product standpoint, I'd like to see more things like Muse. And when I say that, tools that help great teams. They don't try to replace great teams. I've said, when I demo a lot of products, I feel like they're not willing to say it, but their problem they're solving is, hey, we're going to give you a product that will do everything that your people won't do. Instead of just saying, hey, we're going to give you a product that your fantastic team can use, right? We're not going to try to replace your team.
That's a really important point.
Yeah. I mean, it is a different way of looking at the products that you're looking for, right? What I hope happens, man.
Wait, before you go on, do you mind if I share the story you told me before this?
Yeah, which one?
Which one, right? So you were talking about what you just said is a huge point. This could you were talking about how companies are building stuff right now.
Yeah, I was looking for AI chat.
Yeah, and you were talking about some tool that was basically meant to replace, like what you said.
Yes.
Like a low performer. And you're saying, wait, I actually have good people.
Yeah,
I don't want to replace that. I want to make them more efficient, more better. That's where the investment should be going.
Bingo. It took me I had to demo product after product after product after product. It was an AI backed product. In basically what I was looking for was a product that would help my staff when they were too busy to handle a customer. Right.
You didn't want to replace them. You just
I didn't want to replace them. I didn't want AI to jump in. And so this specifically was chat. So if someone chats in, I didn't want AI to take over and create an appointment and then set an appointment and then send the appointment to the dealership. I still believe my people are the best asset. They're the people I want in front of people. I wanted a tool that if my person couldn't respond within 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, then AI would come in and give a customer service. But I wanted my people to have the opportunity to serve the people first. And believe it or not, I can't tell you how many things, Yossi, I looked at. I couldn't find that product. Everything was AI first. And finally, I landed on a product that would allow me to bring in AI second. So it was going to help the staff instead of replace the staff. So, so from a product standpoint, those are the type of products that I hope that I see more. And then from a philosophical standpoint, I hope that people will stand up and leave dealerships when they're pulling all the BS, the addendums and all the, changing prices and all the games. The irony of the situation is that customers all hate that process, but it only exists because customers allow it to exist. Mm-hmm. Dealers aren't going to charge you $1,500 that they didn't tell you about in the listing, right? Unless you're willing to pay it. But because you're willing to pay it, they keep doing it. So the power is in the people. They just have to be willing to stand up and leave. So my hope is that people will stand up and leave for the things that they say they dislike instead of doing it. And through that, change will happen and that people will put more value in working with good people that give good experiences. Everyone, these are all buzzwords, right? You read them in Word, everyone says they want it, but the irony of it is people complain about the process, but then they pay the process. if you don't like the process, quit paying for it.
Well said.
Quit paying for it.
Sanjiv, any closing thoughts?
Well, I couldn't agree with Kris more on the digital tools that are built to replace people is the wrong strategy. And our whole orientation is to create a foundational element on which dealerships can win using their secret sauce, their talent, the way that they connect with customers. Because at the end of the day, a customer is not going to turn around and say, oh my God, I fell in love with that dealership because I could pre-qual, online without any impact to my credit score. They're going to fall in love with the dealership because that salesperson made them feel like valued, and they gave them the information and they took care of them. And if there was a problem, they could reach out and they could go and have their vehicle serviced in the right way. It's people with people. It is people interacting with people. And my passion is to create the products that are almost hidden, like you never even need to see them, but it frees up people to have that interaction, to do that magic, to make the moment happen. And that's what creates success. And so I never want people to feel like, oh my God, Capital One is such a hero in the story. No, we want to be in the background. We don't want to be seen. We want to be the helpers. We want to be the providers. And in some cases, we give assurance that, this dealer is bona fide. We are doing the work. We give you our assurance. But then we step back and let the dealer be the hero. And that's the way we want to create our products.
Well said, gentlemen. Thanks for coming on the pod. Had a blast. We got some other fun activities waiting for us. And so thanks a lot. This was really fun. Have to do it again. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Yossi.
See you, Sanjiv.
All right. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Please give the podcast a rating, consider subscribing to the show, and check the show notes for links to what we talked about. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.